There was a kid at school who used to eat lip balms. And then one time I was putting on some lip balm because I had chapped lips. And he was like, can I have that? And I'm like, no, that's disgusting. That's my lip balm. And he was like, oh, go on, just let me have a bite. And I'm like, a bite? What the f*** are you talking about? F***ing weirdo. Get out of my life. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Business Blaze. This one is brought to you by HelloFresh. What? Go to hellofresh.com and use my code 12blaze to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That sounds like an amazing deal, doesn't it? There's a link below and I'll tell you more about them in a bit, because today, what are we talking about? Gofundme Scams. Oh yes. Returning to this isn't really crowdsourcing. Is this crowdsourcing or crowdfunding or whatever the call it? I mean, we love all over crowdfunding here on Business Blaze, so I thought we'd over charity. Not really. I thought we'd over people who try to scam people through charity, which I feel is like, when it comes to like really like lowest of the low, it's like scamming charitable giving is really like, I mean, that is really down there, isn't it? It's like you're a real piece of shit. It's like people with fake medical cures somewhere down here, like, you know, the inhabitants of the rim of the arsehole. These sort of people. Let's do it! Johnny Bobbitt in the missing Jackpot. Okay, I'm very excited. Is Johnny Bobbitt one of Sam's, one of Danny's fictional characters? I guess we'll find out. It must be a crushing feeling to receive that dreaded email from Indiegogo, which informs you that your proposed crowdfunding project does not meet with the platform's guidelines and has regretfully been rejected. Now there's only one last desperate course of action to take. You'll have to forget about anything of value and just get your begging ass over to Gofundme instead. This is the same. I'm like, did we record this already? I'm like, am I recording this again? And then I realized this was the same introduction for the, if you can't get on Kickstarter, you have to go to Indiegogo. And apparently if you can't get to Indiegogo, you have to go to GoFundMe. I thought GoFundMe was more about like, I've broken my leg in America and the hospital wants to charge me like $400,000 to have my broken leg fixed. Please help me. Of course, GoFundMe is a very different crowdfunding proposition to something like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Thank you, Danny. I guess we're gonna find out. Simon, why'd you tell the story before Danny? Shut up and read the script, fact boy. Founded in San Diego, California in 2010, this platform is not built on the idea of raising investment for a new product or service and delivering compelling incentives to potential backers. There are no perks on offer when you donate to a GoFundMe campaign, not so much as a t-shirt or a sticker or a weekend away with the Wurzels. Oh, the disappointment. Instead, all you get is this warm, tingly glow in your heart and the satisfaction that you donated to a good cause and that you're probably going to heaven. Ah, if heaven was real. Over the years, GoFundMe has raised well over $9 billion. Holy shit. That's like $1 billion a year. I mean, not quite, but still impressive, isn't it? For charitable causes and challenging concerns over... Oh my god, what is the...
What the Wikipedia?
For charitable causes and challenging concerns for cleaned out citizens in quest of cash contributions. Danny, why do you do this to me? A campaign might be seeking funding for something relatively low-key, like hosting a birthday party or replacing a stolen chicken or getting a neon light sign fixed. Or it could be something much more serious like medical bills or rebuilding a home after a natural disaster. One of the biggest GoFundMe campaigns of recent times was the George Floyd Memorial Fund, which was launched to raise money for the murder victims' funeral expenses, counseling and family assistance for the future. The campaign raised over $14 million. Holy shit. I mean, I guess at George Floyd, that's a big deal. If they're going to raise money for something, this seems like a good cause. But $14 million does sound like a lot of money. It sounds like, I mean, that's more money than, like, if someone gave me $40 million, I'd be like, it's more money than I'm ever really gonna spend, isn't it? I initially assumed that this was the most successful campaign to date, but no, even the George Floyd Fund couldn't compete with a campaign called We the People Built the Wall. Oh. It's a little bit depressing that the George Floyd Fund got less money than the We Built the Wall Fund.
So, shout out to his family. I have a dream.
Also, I remember this, didn't they raise, like, they raised, well, obviously more than $14 million, but it's like, bro, how much do you think it's going to cost to build this wall? It's like, even if you raised $1 billion, that's not going to be enough, is it? And you're not going to raise $1 billion. Did they? No, it's not, definitely not. Soliciting donations to build private sections of the wall along the Mexico-US border to prevent illegal entry into the US, this campaign has so far raised over $25 million and has resulted in the construction of 3 whole miles of wall for bankers to bang their heads against. The problem with a wall is if it's not finished, it's not going to be much good. It's like, building a fence around something, but there's a giant gap in the fence. It's like, well, we're just going to go through the gap, aren't we? But the problem is, here, you've basically built a fence, but you've only built like one small panel around your house, and people will just look at that panel and be like, why is that there? That's a bit pointless, isn't it? Did we waste $25 million on this? Guys, stop.
No, I don't think I will.
The GoFundMe platform still seems to pull in a healthy profit for its own corporate coffers, despite the fact that it recently dropped the idea of taking 5% from every donation in favor of an optional virtual tips jar. I don't really have a problem, like, okay, yeah, there's 5%. I mean, they've got to pay for their staff and payment processing and all of this stuff, so 5% seems fair. And there's no denying that GoFundMe has helped to raise stacks of money for some noble causes over the last decade. There's no requirement to hit a target goal either, as you get to keep every cent of your donation regardless of how much you were trying to raise. But the incredibly loose vetting procedures also make it a natural target for scammers looking to raise quick dollars from a fake sob story. Oh god, wasn't the one about some woman and she's like, I've got cancer, please give me money, and people donating money. It's like, oh yeah, I lied about having cancer, we just went to Disney or some like that. It's like, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. I want to use words that, I know I swear on business plates, but it's rarely targeted to, other than being like a bit of a dickhead. I feel like there are stronger words that I'd like to use towards these people, but I'm not going to. The platform reckons that fraudulent campaigns only make up less than 1/10 of 1% of all campaigns, so 1 in 1,000, we could just say that. So let's take a look at some of those. No good deed. Perhaps one of the biggest and most well-known GoFundMe controversies of all time began with what felt like a heartwarming act of human compassion. That's how you start a good scam, preying on people's emotions. Scamming 101 with your boy. In 2017, Caitlin McClure from Burlington County, New Jersey was driving to Philadelphia along Interstate 95. When she ran out of gas and became stranded, already feeling vulnerable and panicky as she didn't have any money on her to top up the tank. What are you doing? How do you go on a drive, run out of petrol, and then not have any money on you? What is going on in your life, Caitlin?
Great job.
Caitlin quite probably grew even more concerned when a homeless man approached the isolated vehicle and began banging on the window. But the homeless man in question was a war veteran who went by the brilliant name of Johnny Bobbitt Jr., and he was here to help. After Caitlin explained her predicament, he advised her to stay in the car and lock the doors and windows. How do you lock the windows in a car? It's a car. Just wind them up. He then made a trip on foot to the nearest gas station, used his only $20 in the world to fill up the can, and dashed back to Caitlin's car to save the day. Caitlin couldn't pay back Johnny his last $20, but she vowed to return to show her deep gratitude. She was a woman of her word who came back with more than just $20. Together with her boyfriend Mark DeAmico, Caitlin set up a GoFundMe campaign, paying it forward to help Johnny Bobbitt get back on his feet. Johnny Bobbitt's not real, is he? This is so... This is just so dirty. Like the fake charity stuff, it's so dirty. Why do you have to be such a piece of human?
Dirty mother.
For f***'s sake. It's like, it's just that scale, isn't it? Like, I know I'm not the most brilliant human in the world, but I also know I'm not this much of a piece of shit. The campaign explained how Bobbitt was a former Marine who had been awarded a National Defense Service medal but had since fallen on tough times and was now a homeless drug addict living under a bridge. The story of Bobbitt's act of kindness clearly tugged at the heartstrings of the internet, who were keen to help the war veteran get off the streets. Although the original target had set a modest $10,000, the campaign went viral and even got onto national television, attracting $400,000 worth of donations from 14,347 kind souls. Man, if I'm Caitlin at that point, I'll be like, I was just going to scam people out of $10,000. And now it's got up to like $400,000. I'll be like, this is a worse crime, isn't it? I've accidentally committed a worse crime. And now I'm going to go to like ADX Florence and hang out with the Unabomber. Fuck! But then everything went a bit tits up. Later that same year, Johnny Bobbitt filed a lawsuit against Mark DeAmico and oh, he's real! He's actually real! Whoa! Claiming that he only ever saw $75,000 of the total funds raised, and that he included the value of the camper van, which the couple had. And that included the value of a camper van which had been set up in the couple's back garden. Following the lawsuit, Bobbitt had understandably vacated the camper and was now back to living under a bridge, begging for spare change and wondering where the other $325,000 had gone. Up Caitlin's nose, allegedly. Not really. In their defense, Mark and Caitlin claimed that they were reluctant to give Bobbitt all the money at once, as they feared he would blow it all on drugs and casinos and BMWs and luxury handbags and helicopter rides over the Grand Canyon. Danny, why? Danny's dreams. Yeah, but then it shouldn't be your responsibility to do that. There should be some sort of I mean, you've raised $400,000. Spend a couple of grand on a lawyer, get some sort of trust set up or some sort of legal thing for this dude. Come on, it's not that hard. Mark was getting quite grumpy about the situation when pressed by the inquiry and ranted, giving him all that money, it's never gonna happen. I'll burn it in front of him. Oh, Mark, you have made a legal tactical error. A New Jersey judge later ruled that the remaining GoFundMe money should be deposited into a trust. I'm a genius. I'm such a big brain. Overseen by Bobbitt's legal team, but this led to a new revelation. All the money had gone up Caitlin's no, not really. And this in turn led to a raid on the couple's house, which uncovered the shocking truth picked out from over 60,000 text messages exchanged between Mark, Caitlin, and Johnny Bobbitt. Holy shit, these guys are some sort of crazy-ass group chat. 60,000 messages? Oh my god, the poor lawyers who have to read through all that shit. The whole thing had been a scam cooked up by all three of the parties, kind of. Oh my god, what? The twists and turns of this story. Johnny Bobbitt was a homeless war veteran in genuine need of help, but after meeting up with Mark and Caitlin outside a casino, the trio had to craft the tear-jerking gas station saga as a way of generating sympathy on GoFundMe, and the plan was to share any funds raised equally between the three of them.
I can make that much money in 5 seconds.
But when the money started flooding in, Mark and Caitlin got greedy. After showing Bobbitt into a camper van in the back garden, they proceeded to blow most of the money on casinos and BMWs and luxury handbags and helicopter rides over the Grand Canyon. What? Finally, we've scammed enough money to take that dream helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. All right, Mark and Caitlin, steady on. They possibly felt safe in the knowledge that Bobbitt would never dare to launch legal action as he was part of the scam. Yeah, I mean, that's like the beauty of the con, isn't it? It's like you make sure that it's like there's a brilliant TV show. I think it was called The Hustle or something. It was a British show, and it was about this group of like hustlers, these con artists who would pull off these scams, but they're always scamming bad people who are doing something illegal. So at the end, it's like, what are you gonna do? Go to the police? Ah, you're a worse criminal than us. Ah! And it's always like, yeah, you're always on the side of the hustlers because they're kind of like they got those good morals. They're criminals. But maybe a man living under a bridge didn't feel that he had many other viable options. Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do? Go to prison? Oh no, prison. I'm living under a bridge and addicted to drugs. It's a lateral move. It's probably even an upgrade. Things got very messy when Mark and Caitlin turned on each other, with each claiming that their now ex-partner was the real mastermind behind the whole scam. It's actually a pretty solid legal defense in a way. I mean, unless there's lots of other evidence that will convict them. Which there is, so it's not a good defense at all. Simon, you're not such a big brain after all, are you? You tiny brain. Caitlin McClure pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and faces up to 20 years in prison. Oh, she is going to hang out with the Unabomber. Whilst Mark D'Amico pled guilty to a single charge of misapplication of entrusted property, which could lead to a 5-year sentence. Holy I want Mark's lawyers. Both cases have been heavily delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Johnny Bobbitt pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering and has been sentenced to 5 years probation, including admittance to a state drug treatment program. Is probation where you don't have to go to prison? Cool, Johnny got out of this on the good one, and he got some free drug treatment. Woo! All the good... I mean, why are we celebrating? These are bad, conny people. And the good news is that GoFundMe agreed to refund every cent of the donated money. Wow. Holy shit, GoFundMe. Good for you. I guess that's what that 5%'s paying for. Legends. I have mad respect for that. Thank you. The biggest tragedy here is that Johnny Bobbitt really could have received the help he desperately needed from the huge amount of money raised from the fake gas station story. Yeah, he needs it, but does he deserve it after he decided to make up a fake story? I mean, I get it, he was desperate in all of this stuff, and if it was... I don't know. I don't want to say, but maybe not. And even though Mark and Simon, you aren't feeling boss and he's living under a bridge. I know, look, obviously it's grey, it's not black and white, is it? I know how much you love looking at the world that way, but everything is basically shades of grey. Always remember that. Advice from Business Plays. Scratch that. Advice from Business Plays. And even though Mark and Caitlin should have never profited from such a campaign, they would probably have got away with it if the money had been divvied up a bit more fairly. They should have at least brought Bobbitt a luxury handbag or two instead of just leaving him running on empty. Yeah, but how are they going to explain away like $100,000 or $200,000? Be like, where did that come from? Found it on the street. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to tell you about who? Today's fine sponsor. Yes, that's right, it's HelloFresh. HelloFresh! What's the best thing about HelloFresh? Oh my god, there are almost too many best things to talk about. Well, first of all, it's food, so let's talk about how delicious it is. And I have to be a little bit upfront and honest here. Makes a change, doesn't it? I've never actually tasted HelloFresh. HelloFresh has never crossed these lips. because I have a very strict diet. That's not true. I don't live in America. They won't ship it to me. They'll be like, Simon, it's going to be horribly moldy and it won't taste delicious and it certainly won't be fresh when it arrives. But I do another YouTube channel called Today I Found Out, and the dude I do that channel with, he lives in the land of the free and the home of the brave and the good and the great. And he was like, Simon, I tested it out for you and it is extremely delicious. And I was like, all right, I'll trust you on that one. Oh yeah, also, they say here, it makes healthy living easier. Low cal, carb smart, vegetarian, and pescatarian options every week. I went to the doctor the other day, had like my little checkup, and they're like, look, fact boy. They're like, look, Mr. Whistler. I'm 34 years old, I still find it weird when people call me Mr. Whistler. And they're like, look, Mr. Whistler, we've got your blood results back. Turns out your cholesterol's high, and I'm like, what a surprise. And they're like, you can eat more fish, and I was like,
no need. Porterhouse, rare, quickly. Same.
Agree.
I wish I could. I mean, I definitely can. I should eat more fish. It's just hard when there's so many other good meat options. Like, it's like, do you want this fish? Or do you want a steak? And I'm like,
You know what? I am gonna have that third steak after all. Go ahead and put that order in now, please and thank you.
let's go steak, eh? But if I had HelloFresh, I'd force myself to eat pescatarian. Or like, not pescatarian, I'll just eat more fish, all right? Why are we so far off the points? But it forces you to be healthy in a way. I mean, you don't have to be, but when you're planning your meals ahead, you'll be like, yeah, I should be good. Let's have a couple of fish options this week, eh? So no, my cholesterol just keeps going up. They were also like, your vitamin D is alarmingly low, and they gave me a prescription for vitamin D drops, like my baby has. It's because I never go outside. Should give some of those to Danny. Save time. Of course, that's another perk. You can get dinner on the table in just 30 minutes, or even 20 minutes with their quick and easy options. That's literally faster than ordering like an Uber Eats or something. HelloFresh helps you eat more sustainably. Oh yeah, also, everything's packaged out, so you're not throwing away a bunch of food. They're almost entirely made from recyclable material and or already recycled content. Look, there's a lot of recycled stuff going on there, which is good. And that makes their carbon footprint 25% lower than meals made from store-bought groceries. Because holy shit, like I order like online and it comes and it's like, it is bags within bags within. I got a bread roll, and it was in a plastic bag, which was in a small paper bag, which was inside a larger double paper bag. And I'm like, what the actual is going on? Not with HelloFresh. Flexible to fit your lifestyle. So you can change your delivery days, your preferences, all of that stuff. And also HelloFresh gives back. They donated over 4 million meals to charity in 2020. God damn, that's a lot. That is exceptional. Thank you, HelloFresh. And look, this video is all about paying it forward. No, it's not, it's about scams. But paying it forward is a theme of this video. Pay it forward to HelloFresh by getting HelloFresh 12 free meals as well. Oh, brilliant. Do not voice across to, do not voice. They are less in yellow, so I'm like, I should voice that. No. Go to HelloFresh.com and use my code 12blaze to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. Read verbatim for legal reasons. Okay. Hell yeah, that's it, baby. Go to HelloFresh.com and use my code 12blaze to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh. Look, go get it done, okay? I know you love food, you greedy. My lips are really dry. I'm just gonna put on a little lip balm here. Delicious. There was a kid at school who used to eat lip balms. And I remember one time I was putting on some lip balm because I had chapped lips. And he was like, can I have that? And I'm like, no, that's disgusting. That's my lip balm. And he was like, oh, go on, just let me have a bite. And I'm like, a bite? What the f*** are you talking about? F***ing weirdo. Get out of my life. Marathon, why are we telling this story? Get on with the facts, hack boy. Marathon hero. On the 15th of April 2013, the annual Boston Marathon was the target of a terrorist bombing which resulted in 3 deaths and hundreds of injuries, including 17 people who lost limbs in the barbaric attack. Not all heroes make a fuss, and it seems that Joanna Lee from the Boston neighborhood of Jamaica Plain was one of the more modest heroes who was just quietly getting on with whatever anyone else would have been doing in such a traumatic situation. According to Joanna, one of 2 homemade pressure cooker bombs exploded just 10 feet away from where she was standing. Despite the fact that she had been knocked out by the blast and was suffering from a loss of both hearing and vision when she came around, brave Joanna dived right into the thick of the chaotic scene and tried to help other victims. When she's deaf and blind? What are you doing, Joanna? You're a victim yourself. Get to hospital. It was later reported that she suffered from traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and facial redness from her heroic deeds. Facial redness. Okay, seems that it's like what happens when I go out in the cold. Get really windswept. It's different, isn't it? It's different. I get the feeling none of this happened, though. Some thoughtful soul felt that Joanna deserved financial help and with her consequent medical bills and set up a GoFundMe campaign on behalf of her, which raised $9,500. But that was only the tip of the compensatory iceberg. Joanna also received nearly $30,000 from several victim funds and student fundraisers, as well as $900 worth of free dermatology services to help with that facial redness problem. Just doesn't it wear off? Like, it's cold outside, my face is red. You go inside, it's like my face is no longer red. Obviously, this is a different issue. She got blown up, but she didn't, did she? She didn't.
No.
Funnily enough, it wasn't even the first time that Joanna had been treated for facial redness. It was a condition for which she had been receiving regular treatments in the past, but this time, she was getting it for free. It turns out that Joanna wasn't quite as brave as everyone had been led to believe. This was largely because after attending a viewing party at the Boston Marathon on that day, she had returned safely home long before the bombs went off. What's a viewing party? People go in viewing parties to the Boston Marathon? Don't you just spectate? What the viewing party? That GoFundMe campaign may have sounded like it had been put together by a considerate third party, but it was actually created and maintained by one of Joanna's own email addresses. Whoops-a-doodle. And perhaps the most shocking part of the story is that all the money was flooding in from every direction. Joanna had the audacity to complain that a payment of $8,000 she received from the bombing's victim support organization, One Fund Boston, wasn't good enough. And she had angrily declared in the press that she was now seeking a 7-figure sum from the charity. It's a charity! You're literally taking money. I mean, literally. I mean, you're not going there and literally taking the money, but it's as close to literally as you can get. You're taking money out of the pockets of other victims. You douchebag. You colossal douchebag. Allegedly.
Fucking bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Joanna later claimed that for her fresh legal troubles were the result of her daring to speak out against One Fund Boston. She ranted to the press, "I think this about killing the messenger. I went after the governor and the mayor's charity, and I didn't shut up about it, and I caused them trouble." But Joanna found it harder to defend the sheer weight of evidence against her story, including witness testimony, photographic and video evidence, and her own contradictory accounts of events and medical and financial records. Yes, Joanna, it's the 2013? Like, there's cameras around. People have like old school iPhones and shit. They're gonna be like filming it. I remember there's videos of this happening. And also you're gonna go to hospital for like blindness and deafness. There's gonna be a paper trail, Joanna, what are you talking about? She finally confessed in 2015, pleading guilty to 5 counts of larceny and 1 count of making a false claim to a government agency. Although the assistant district attorney initially recommended that Joanna should serve up to 3 years in state prison, the Suffolk Superior Judge handed the fake marathon hero a sentence of 1 year, which was suspended for 3 years of probation. Oh my god, that's so complicated. What does that mean? 1 year which was suspended, so she has a 1-year jail sentence, but she doesn't have to go to jail for 3 years. So instead she got 3 years of probation. I wish I knew what probation was. I feel like that's when they watch you because you've been naughty. I feel like she should have done a little bit of time here. Come on. The other guys like scammed some guys. So did she. I mean, it was less, but that one was facing like 20 years in jail, which I guess you won't get. But it's like, holy
Why couldn't it be like 60? A round figure.
She was also ordered to pay full restitution, perform 300 hours of community service, and undergo a mental health evaluation. I feel like they should do the mental health evaluation before they sentence her, maybe. Just my opinion. Maybe we shouldn't be sending mentally sick people to, like, community service, whatever. Joanna may have felt slightly dizzy from the whole experience when she left the court blushing bright red in shame, but nobody gave a shit this time. Off to the dermatologist. Standing up for Keaton. GoFundMe got dragged into a fine odd mess with this sad tale, which demonstrates just how quickly the internet can turn against you. Despite the star-studded cast of this story, there's only one person who really matters, and that's a troubled 11-year-old boy called Keaton Jones from Knoxville, Tennessee. In 2017, while sitting in the passenger seat of his mum's car, he opened up about the level of bullying he was facing at school from the other kids who called him abusive names every day and slightly weirdly threw milk at him and put ham down his clothes.
Ham. What ham? That was probably packed lunch.
I'd say, and slightly weirdly, they threw milk at him and put ham down his clothes. These are kids. It's like, come on. Definitely weird going on. It's school. His mother, Kim Jones, whipped out her phone and filmed the teary-eyed monologue as Keaton descended into sobbing and questioned how anyone can find joy in making fun of people who are different. The heartbreaking video was posted on Facebook and eventually attracted over 20 million views. Oh, people who are different. How is he different? Did we mention how he's different? And the full force of the internet responded to let Keaton know that they were on his team, including some notable big hitters. The Tennessee Titans No idea who they are. Invited Keaton to a football game. Are they football players? And Captain America himself, Chris Evans, invited Keaton to the premiere of the latest Avengers movie. This is pretty great. I mean, the video is going to be fake, isn't it? He's just putting it on. And he's going to Avengers with Chris Pratt. Chris Evans. Chris Evans, yeah. Chris Pratt's the other dude. I feel like they look kind of similar, but also they don't look similar at the same time. I guess their bodies are similar since Chris Pratt got super ripped.
No.
I watched that Passengers movie again the other day. I mean, it's a bit shit in many ways, but it's also really good. He also received public messages of support from the likes of Snoop Dogg, Rihanna, Posh Spice, Katy Perry, and Justin Bieber. Brilliant. But then old Facebook photographs of his mother Kim began to surface, in which she was posing with the Confederate flag in what some perceived to be a show of support for the southern states that fought to keep slavery during the Civil War. Uh-oh. And she's like, bring back slavery! It's like, no, Karen. Was her name Karen? Please be Karen. Please be Karen. Please be Karen. Please. Oh, it was Kim. Ah. And old posts were discovered in which, shortly after the white suit, and old posts were discovered in which shortly after white supremacists took part in Unite the Right rally. And old posts were discovered in which, shortly after, white supremacists took part in a Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, Kim was complaining, "Butt hurt Americans, if you aren't bleeding, no bones are sticking out, and you can't breathe, and you can breathe, stop crying." Holy shit, Kim. Don't put that on the internet. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And suddenly the full force of the internet turned against Keaton and his family. Many of those public words of support from high-profile celebrities, including messages composed by Rihanna and Cardi B, were mysteriously deleted from social media. There's nothing mysterious about that. It's like, you know what I don't like supporting? The son of someone who seems to be, allegedly, a bit of a racist. Based on not a single scrap of evidence, large chunks of the internet began to wrongly assume that Keaton's bullying was probably in response to his use of racial slurs. Wait, what? There's no evidence of that. What are you talking about? It was his mum who's a bit of a, not the... I mean, kids definitely often take after the parents, but let's not assume that the young kid who seems to have been getting bullied was a racist, alright? MMA fighter Joel Schilling stepped into the controversy, but should have looked more carefully where he was treading. He claims that he tried to reach out to Kim on Instagram with an offer to hang out with Keaton in LA, but in response, Kim had suggested that she'd rather accept a financial donation. Oh, shit. Thanks. I have no idea who... Oh, he's an MMA fighter, even said there. When a startled Joe Schilling questioned this, he received the response, "What happened to us whites sticking together?" Wait. You... Oh. Oh my. Oh! That's all I can say. I got nothing to add there. It's just like... Guys, stop. Awkward! After venting his frustration and disappointment on Twitter, it now seems almost certain that the Instagram account was fake, as Kim's name wasn't even spelled correctly. At least there's that. Kim now claims that the Confederate flag photographs were a joke, and her butthurt comments had nothing to do with the white supremacist rally. Whether that's true or not seems largely irrelevant, as the whole thing was meant to be about her bullied 11-year-old son, who, after going through a personal ordeal, was now facing the wrath of the internet on the assumption that he must be racist like his mum. Let's not make that assumption, shall we, until there's some evidence. And then he's an 11-year-old. I mean, give him a break. He probably doesn't even understand what racism is. He's 11. And then right in the middle, and certainly if he is a racist, it's not like we're going to blame him for being a racist. He's 11!
I'm a kid, asshole.
And then right in the middle of this mess, someone decided that it would be a good idea to launch a GoFundMe campaign for Keaton. The first problem with the campaign, which went under the banner of Stand Up for Keaton, is that it was set up by a New Jersey man called Joseph Lamb, who seemed to genuinely be moved by Keaton's plight, but had never even met the family. And it seems odd that a man without the slightest connection to the family was able to raise just under $60,000 in Keaton's name. It also wasn't made explicitly clear how the money was going to be used. I feel it's like get Keaton a bodyguard. Just beat the shit out of the bullies at school. Savage! While standing up to bullies is a noble gesture, it's difficult to see how $60,000 are going to solve Keaton. I just told you, Danny, a bodyguard! A hired thug! And although Joseph Lamb later talked of sending Keaton to private school or college, the fate of the $60,000 is now shrouded in mystery. Uh-oh. Joseph claims that it already sent $28,000 of it to the family, but both the family and GoFundMe deny this.
Oh yeah, we're the worst, yeah.
It could be the case that nobody could agree on what to do with it. Joseph Lamb voluntarily froze the campaign and claimed that he was working with Gofundme and legal attorneys to set up a trust for Keaton, but there'd been no update since 2007. Looking back now, Keaton might have been better served if his mum had just had a quiet word with the teachers and asked them to keep an eye on any kids shoving ham down her son's clothes. Stop it with the ham! We're gonna be eating that! The Need for Speed. To conclude on a more uplifting note, here's a campaign which sounded like a young, spoiled American teenager was just taking the piss, but actually ended up achieving a positive, pocket-sized result. In 2017, a young driver from Ohio by the name of Logan Wright was fuming that he'd just been handed a $500 speeding. Holy shit, that is a speeding ticket. How fast were you going, Logers? And he didn't believe that this was completely justified, so he set up a campaign on GoFundMe to help pay for his perceived miscarriage of justice. That's what the courts are for. Go to traffic court or whatever and be like, yo, this wasn't fair, I didn't deserve this ticket, and then they judge, impartial, will be like, you're right, loggers, or no, pay that, and we're gonna fine you some more for being a dick. But it calmed down a bit by the time he got around to crafting his campaign and took the opportunity to plant his tongue firmly in cheek. In what must be one of the most engaging crowdfunding campaigns ever composed, Logan embellished his speeding ticket story. He wrote, I was driving to work in my Honda Civic at 9:40, trying to get there by 10 because I enjoy not getting fired. As I was driving there, some dumbass Mustang passed me, going around 80 and flipping me off. I wasn't going to be a pussy and lose to a Mustang, so I started burning the bald eagle piss. As I was slowing down to tell the Mustang to eat shit, a state highway patrolman pulls out and gets my dumbass. He comes to my window and says, what do you have in this thing? And I said, bald eagle, piss, and freedom, sir. Then he replied with, you know how fast you were going? And being the smart ass I am, I said, well, I was slowing down to give both of you a chance, officer.
I embellished that with my own little laugh there.
He didn't like that too. Well, he didn't like that. He didn't like to that. He didn't like that too well. Moral of the story is I got a ticket, but I did dust the Mustang, so it was worth it. The money donated is going towards the ticket because I spend all my paycheck on race car parts. Have a blessed day, America. Now, this clearly wasn't a downright scam as such. It was maybe more of an example of a teenager abusing the platform while entertaining his potential donors. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just a joke. If people donate to that, it's their own money, they know what they're doing. It's not like he's trying to scam anyone. But the campaign performed slightly better than expected. While other more critical campaigns were struggling to raise as much as $10 for Grandpa Joe's kidney dialysis machine or whatever, Logan smashed his target of $500 and went on to raise a total of $2,345. 2345, how about that? From people wanting to help pay for the consequences of his driving offense. Logan later revealed that he'd never imagined the campaign would go viral, and he was largely just sharing a fun personal story with his family and friends. But although GoFundMe has now removed all trace of this embarrassment, it's not embarrassment, this is just funny, GoFundMe, chill out. It's worth noting that some good came from the speeding ticket. In his last update, Logan pledged to donate all the extra money to the Wounded Warriors and Soldiers Angels charity associations. Legend. So he deserves at least some credit for not just blowing it all on casinos and luxury handbags and helicopter rides over Interstate 95. This has been an episode of Business Blaze brought to you by the legends over at HelloFresh. There's a link below. And hey, if you were thinking, Simon, oh my God, does your beard look glorious? Well, head on over to beardblaze.com and I've got a fine selection of beard products that will make your beard as fine as this one. Not a guarantee, maybe you just have poor genetics. Thank you for watching. Links are below.
Hi there. Would you like to hear our specials?
No need. Porterhouse, rare, quickly.